Hello everyone! Many of you woke up this morning and found out that my account was banned on TikTok. And I know many of you are jumping for joy and thinking that this is a great victory. Somehow, it makes you smile to know that an animal rights activist is being silenced on one of the platforms. Why is that? Why does that bring you joy? I know why. Because you're feeling guilty. You know you shouldn't be eating animals. You know you shouldn't be paying to exploit them. And you cannot look in the mirror and see that in you. You're suffering from cognitive dissonance. You think you're a good person, but on the other hand, you pay people to rape, torture, and murder these innocent animals who never did one single thing wrong to you. So when an animal rights activist like me, a middle-aged, gray-haired woman who's 56 and who is a school teacher and a nurse, gets shot down, this somehow brings you great joy, as if you're playing a video game. But this is real life. It's not a video game. There are actual victims. There are actual animals who are suffering right now in ways that you know nothing about. So why is it that you don't know what's going on? The biggest reason is that our school system is completely failing us. That's one of the reasons that I'm glad to be out of it. In our school systems, we don't encourage people to be free thinkers. We don't encourage them to do research on things that are important. One of the things I really didn't like about being a teacher is that I couldn't just trust the kids to go on the internet and look up things. I wanted to be able to let them go to see Dominion movement and the way that these animals are treated. But I couldn't do that because I would get in trouble if they accidentally went onto a disturbing site, i.e. the truth. What's wrong with our society that we're so scared to tell kids the truth about what's going on? Well, the parents are also scared. In our society right now, parents are mere children. They've never actually grown up. They're just an older version of their kids. I learned this now because after being on TikTok and watching the amount of duets that are going on there and realizing it's horrifying how uneducated the vast majority of the population is. So of course it's normal that they would want to take somebody down who confronts all these different groups of people. See, I've never limited myself with who I talk to about how the animals are treated. I will talk to a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a teenager. I will talk to a new mom, a dad. I will talk to anybody. Teachers, principals, doctors, therapists. I will talk to grandparents, and I have. I will talk to my neighbors who are walking their dogs, and colleagues, because everybody needs to know what's going on. If you ever think you're not powerful, think of it this way. If a group of teenage boys can gather together behind the scenes and start attacking somebody like me, an animal rights activist, or any other, because it won't be long before they come after all the other animal rights activists, then think of what that same group of kids could do if they actually fought for good in the world. You see, the problem is that they're just so mixed up. They don't actually know who's good and who's evil. I mean, for some reason, they have it in their head that somebody who's defending the most innocent animals among us is a bad person. How messed up is that? Where did they get that idea? I don't know. But I can tell you that schools are not helping us to fix it. So where do we go from here? Well, first of all, animal rights activists don't stop being animal rights activists. I'm never going to quit. You can close down one account, you can close down another one, I will keep popping up. Or if you keep closing them down and eventually you've used up all of the means, I will still be in front of my house with a sign, or in a shopping center protesting, or filming other activists. I'll go back to being a reporter and talking about them, but I'll never stop. The animals are too important. They're alone. They have no voice. The chickens, the cows, the pigs, the lambs, the turkeys, they all have a right to their body integrity. They all have a right to live. And many of you have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. The billions of animals that are so badly mistreated, systemically, not just the occasional one, but crammed into places that are as horrible as the Nazi death camps. In fact, worse. The animals have it worse. The Holocaust never ended for them. Yes, they have it worse. And you don't realize it. And I know you don't realize it because I saw your duets before my account was taken down. I saw this one girl yelling at the camera and saying, "You don't understand. How can you say that these animals are treated the way that the Jewish prisoners were? They're not raped." Yes, they are. They're not forced into slavery. Yes, they are. They're not murdered. Yes, they are. They're not put into gas chambers. Yes, they are. And for what? Why did we do that to the Jews? Why did the world let that happen? Because good people remain silent. So now what? Use all the power that you have going forward to educate yourself. Use your critical thinking skills. Go and actually watch the documentaries that all of us have watched. Go to watchdominion.com and don't be cowardly about it. Don't watch it in a group of people while you talk and while you try to close your eyes to what's going on. Don't mute the sound of the animals. Listen. Watch it in small bits by yourself or with a friend that you trust who is seriously interested in learning. There are many cowardly teenagers here on YouTube who have said that they watched Dominion and it was a joke. To them, they thought it was funny seeing the animals suffer like that. Doesn't that seem strange to you? Doesn't that worry you to some degree? That psychopaths here have a voice so strong? It's not them that's the problem. It's everyone who follows them and doesn't say anything like, "Yo, dude, there's nothing funny about watching this mother pig in a tight, confined space, so tight that she can't even turn around. And when her babies are born and one of them is dead, and the brother or sister looks desperately for some warmth and lies down on the dead body of their sibling, there's nothing funny about that. There's nothing funny about a man who goes in back of a pig and starts rubbing her and masturbating her and then inserts sperm into her, forcing her to be pregnant against her will. This is inhumane, disgusting behavior. It's abhorrent. It's not normal. There is nothing normal about the way that we treat animals. When it comes to the chickens and the baby boy chicks that are born and an assembly line goes by and people pick them up, and if they're boys, put them on a separate assembly line and they go in to be murdered, ground up alive. There's nothing normal about that when we can absolutely survive without eating eggs or chickens or pigs or cows. There's absolutely nothing normal okay about us raping these mother cows, forcing them to be pregnant with sperm that came from us masturbating a bull, literally masturbating them, taking the sperm and inserting it into the female. And when her baby is born, to murder the boy. But first, we will put him in a tiny confined area for a few days, sometimes a few weeks, isolated, crying for his mother, unable to see his siblings, just the most barbaric thing that if you tried, you couldn't even invent something worse. It is a holocaust that the animals are going through. And there's nothing okay about it. And anyone who thinks that there is something okay with that needs help. The problem with our school system is not that we are churning out people who can't read and write or are not ready for the job market. The problem with our school system is that we haven't taught kids to think and to care. Those should be the only two criteria to graduating. Have you proved that you can think for yourself, research the actual truth? And have you proved to us that you care? Have we taught you empathy? If not, the entire society collapses because of that. When we start to cheer on people who think that hurting others is okay, we are falling into a deep, dark, black hole. Now, when my account was banned, two things popped into my head. One was the day that John Robert Bell's account was banned. You remember him. He's somebody on the app who talks about human rights, but fails to understand that sentient beings, such as animals, are just like children and should be included into all of his compassion that he has. But instead, he gleefully eats them in front of me and many others, thereby promoting the torture of these poor innocent animals. But when his account was banned last summer, the first thing that came to my mind, even though one might say he is my arch enemy, but he really isn't. But when his account was banned, the first thing I did was to immediately contact TikTok and say that it was wrong. It was wrong. Because he was speaking up on behalf of the humans at that time. He wasn't speaking against animals at that time. And I believe that we have a right to voice our opinions, even if we disagree. Now, if his account was banned a second time now, after me attempting to reach him and to show him that being vegan is necessary and the compassionate thing to do, if his account was banned now, after he has been educated for so long and continues to pay for this complete torture of these innocent animals, I would not go to help him. Because I sincerely think that he is causing more harm than good now. That doesn't mean it always has to be that way. He might change. But at this point, anybody who laughs at an animal rights activist, anybody who is vegan phobic to that degree, after having had many, many months to change, is despicable. The other thing that came to mind was Gary Yourofsky, who was one of the reasons that I became vegan. I remember the day that I found out that he decided to quit being an activist. It was a devastating day for me because I used to look up to him as somebody who gave me strength, courage, and somebody to follow. I admired his speeches, and I admired how passionate he was. Many people didn't like him, and I didn't know him personally, and maybe if I met him in person I wouldn't like him either. But what I saw in his speech, that you can Google, the best speech you'll ever hear, or something like that it's called, it moved me. And I know it moved millions of people. Now he left, and he left his torch there, burning. And I looked at it and I thought, I can't take that. I can't follow in his footsteps. I'm not ready. I don't know how to make great speeches. I don't know enough facts about the animals. I can't stand there and talk as long as he did. How am I going to do that? But I looked around and didn't see anybody else rising to be as passionate as he was, who talked about the Holocaust that the animals are going through. I didn't see anybody. And so I just thought, I'm gonna go for it. And somehow I accumulated 1.7 million followers. Now, most of them were there to laugh at me. And that's normal when we're trying to change society. The first thing that you do is you laugh at people who speak out against something, and you think to yourself, what the fuck is this? This person thinks that animals should have rights? That they should have a Bill of Rights? This person is telling me that I shouldn't eat eggs or drink milk or eat meat, something that my teachers and my doctor and my parents have been telling me their whole lives? So they laugh and think I'm crazy, but they follow anyway out of curiosity. And then after that, the next stage is that because I start to make everyone feel guilty, then they get angry. Then they put up a shield, and then they come after me with a knife. And they try to cut my throat. And today they did that over on TikTok. They cut the head off of one of the most prominent animal rights activists on the app. The most well-known, the most hated, but the most well-known. But I'm still here. And I'm not going to stop. Because after the stage 2 of fighting people who come and tell you the truth is stage 3. And that is when society starts to accept what's going on and realize that that fringe movement, those people on the edges, those animal rights activists actually had a point. People start to realize those animal rights activists, they really actually did care. They weren't joking around. Those animal rights activists know what goes on with the animals. And they are here as messengers, and we should probably listen to them. So how do we get there? Good people need to rise up. The silent majority needs to speak up and say, when that vegan teacher's account was shut, that wasn't okay. When that vegan teacher was calling out every single religious group and every single age and every single gender and every single minority and saying to them, hey, you guys can try to be more vegan. You don't need to buy that. You don't need to pay for that. You don't need to wear that. People need to realize that that is a good thing, and people need to realize that that is necessary in society. And instead of looking upon animal rights activists as a crazy fringe group, people start, and they are starting, and they will continue to realize that we're here to stay, and what we're doing is necessary. What you're eating is not food, it's violence. What you're paying for, it's not food, it's violence. Unless you are living in an area where you absolutely need to hunt or fish because you have no other choice, what you're doing is immoral. And that's why people wanted me removed, because I made them feel that guilt. But is it okay to shoot the messenger? Really? Do we really want a society like that? That's up to you. I'm here for a certain amount of years on the planet, and I ate animals for a long time. And I will never stop feeling guilt for that. Drinking their milk, stealing milk from baby cows. What kind of a horrible person was I to do that? So I can't stop. I won't stop. I will always be that vegan teacher, even if I'm kicked off an app, or if I'm kicked off whatever. I will always be that vegan teacher. People will always feel guilty when they hear my name. Some of them will feel proud because they've taken on, and they are the new vegan teachers. There will always be new vegan teachers. And after I'm dead, somebody else will refer to that vegan teacher as another person. In the meantime, we go on fighting. Remember, if a bunch of teenage boys can take down a middle-aged woman who has no weapon and who is there to speak on behalf of the most innocent among us, then think of what a group of teenage girls could do if they rose up and fought for what's right. Now you might think I'm exaggerating with the genders. Maybe. Not all women are good, and not all girls are good. But the majority of my supporters are girls. Most often, girls can see things that guys can't. Not all. But sometimes, if they are given the space, they have the intellectual capacity and an open heart to be able to see something that men are not able to. Again, not all. But I'm calling on the girls of society, on all of my supporters and anyone else, women, mothers, who know what it's like to have a baby at their breast and who would never want that baby taken away and murdered. I am calling on you, women, teenage girls, grandmothers. We need to rise above and help these innocent animals. We are the ones who buy the food, mostly. We are the ones who cook the food, mostly. We are the ones who are closest to the children and able to educate them, mostly. Most school teachers are women. We have access to the young minds. We can help this world, make this world a more compassionate place. We need to teach critical thinking skills at home and in the school, and we need to teach people empathy, the ability to look at others and feel what they're feeling and sit with them. And when someone is suffering, we need to teach people to come closer, to look closer at the suffering and find a way to help. Are you ready to do that? If you were the victim, what would you want? Would you want somebody to help you? If you were crying and alone and ripped away from the family that you love, would you want somebody like me to stand up for you? You know you would. If that were the case, suddenly I would look to you like a best friend instead of an enemy. So join me. Keep fighting. For those of you who are not yet vegan or don't understand why we're here, go and watch Dominion.com. It's one word, watchdominion.com. Don't watch it with your buddies who are going to laugh. You're smarter than that. Come on, boys. Let's be vegan from now on. I'll see you in the next video.